Recording in progress. We gotta talk about this. Can you even see? Can you see the full? This. We gotta talk about it. If you love going to Disney, you are in the right place. I'm gonna make sure that you're up to date with all of the major news coming from both Disney World and Disneyland. But today, we're actually talking about Universal's Epic Universe and what it could mean for the future of Disney. At the end of this video, we're going to cap things off with a Disney hack that if you are a Disney pro, you might know, but if you're newer to going to Disney or you haven't been in a long time, you might not know it, so make sure to stick around till the end. So I wanted to make this video because ever since Epic Universe opened to the media, everyone has been saying that Disney is shaken in their boots. There's reason to believe this because Disney has started to give like little things here and there, and they said like they're posting like, oh, like both water parks are gonna be open and they'll be open for a long time and da da da. It's like these little things that Disney thinks people will be excited about and enticed by, but no one actually really cares about that sort of stuff.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you
We don't care.
Jerry.
At least that I know of. So Epic Universe, it looks incredible. And what I'll say with Epic Universe is that if it's any indication of what Universal could be, Disney should be shaking in their boots. That is, if Disney refuses to change. I think that for most theme park goers, it's not news that Epic Universe was created in the same amount of time that Tron was created at the Magic Kingdom. And that ride, it wasn't even a new ride. Like, it was taken from a different park and added to the Magic Kingdom. Now, I was a finance major in college. That may surprise some of you. That probably doesn't surprise most of you. I'm kind of a dickhead. Anyways. Because I was a finance major, I had to break down the numbers. So in 2024, Disney's Parks and Experiences, which is the theme parks and then also the cruise line, the revenue for 2024 was $34.15 billion. Universal's numbers for 2024 was $8.98 billion. With the addition of Epic Universe, it's expected to have like a 6 to 8% increase in 2025, which is massive for just adding one park. So Disney Parks and Experiences, that's not just the theme parks, that's also the cruise line, and then there's something else that's included in it as well. Just like Disney resorts, because there are a couple of different Disney resorts throughout the world that aren't close to a Disney park. With the cruise line, Disney has 6 cruise ships currently. They're adding 2 more by the end of 2025. The Disney Destiny, which will be sailing out of Fort Lauderdale for a Bahamas and Caribbean cruise, and then the Disney Adventure, which will be sailing out of Singapore, and that's the company's first Southeast Asia route. By 2031, Disney plans to have 13 cruise ships, which is crazy. The Disney Cruise Line started in 1998, and after 18 years, they had 6 ships. The Disney Wish was launched in 2022, which was the 7th ship in the fleet. And from 2022 to 2031, they plan to add 7 more, doubling the size of the fleet in half of the time. So if Universal wants to close that $24 billion gap, the reason that I don't think that Disney is shaking in their boots is because it's not something that Universal isn't creating a cruise line. If they were starting a cruise line with 4 brand new ships sailing out of different parts of, the United States or even the world, then I would say like, okay, Disney is definitely going to start worrying about what the revenue looks like for shareholders and that sort of thing. Will Epic Universe be more popular than any Disney park in Orlando this year? Probably. But Epic Universe is still bringing people to Orlando. When Universal first arrived in Florida, Disney put out an ad in, probably this looks like a magazine or a newspaper. Actually, it looks like a newspaper. It says, "Welcome Universal Studios Florida. What's good for tourism and entertainment is good for Central Florida." And the reason for that is because while, yes, it's a direct competition to the Disney company, Disney knows that the likelihood of most of the people going to Universal are also going to spend a day or two at Disney. Where what Disney is doing is they're adding 7 new cruise ships in the next 6 years. When you book a cruise, you are on that cruise for 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, whatever it is, and you're not spending any money anywhere else. So that's why I said if Universal was starting a cruise line, Disney would be shaking in their boots. Now, all of that said, Universal just yesterday, or maybe it was 2 days ago, also announced the creation of a new park in the United Kingdom outside of Bedford. And this park will be the first ever Universal park in Europe. 476-acre complex, which will include a 500-room hotel, a retail district, a full-blown theme park, and it could welcome 8.5 million visitors in the first year alone, according to Universal's estimates. Now, that's something, because Disney is not in the UK, that will like close the revenue gap, if you will, because Universal is bringing people to a place where Disney is not currently operating out of. The closest park is Disneyland Paris. The construction for that is set to start in 2026, and the park will open in 2031. So I think Universal is on the right track of like, hey, let's open parks where Disney is not. They're also planning to open a park in Texas. So Universal has the right idea. Regardless, though, getting back to Epic Universe and Disney World, I think that Epic Universe will change theme parking, especially in the Orlando area, forever. And here's why. Because one of two things is going to happen with Epic Universe. Either Disney is going to wake up and they're going to start delivering and actually create stuff that people are excited about and not have to take away other rides and attractions that people enjoy, or Universal will overtake them and become more popular. Those are the only two options of things that will happen. And really, here's what Disney needs to stop doing. They need to stop re-theming old rides. Yes, I understand that rides should get refurbishments. You know, they just announced that Buzz Lightyear is going to close at the end of the summer in August at Disney World to go under refurbishment. I think that's the right move. That ride definitely needed it. But just closing Splash Mountain to retheme it to Tiana's, or closing down Rock and Roller to retheme it to the Muppets, or closing down all of the Muppet Courtyard to retheme it to Monsters, Inc. To me, it just feels lazy. Maybe not the Muppets to Monsters, Inc., because they actually are building new rides for that. But, you know, the Tiana's and the Rock and Roller Coaster, it just feels a little bit lazy. And I don't know if that's the general consensus across like all Disney adult fandom, but that's just like how I feel about it. And, you know, what we have learned from Disney closing down rides to retheme it to something else is Disney adults lose their minds over it. You know, closing Muppet Vision 3D, closing Rock and Roller Coaster, closing It's Tough to Be a Bug, which I think, you know, it really should have been closed. It really should have. Closing Dinosaur, stuff like that. You know, people love new stuff, but they hate losing the old stuff. And, you know, Disney is going to be ramping things up, adding the Monsters, Inc. land that I talked about. They're adding Cars Land. They're adding a Villains land to the Magic Kingdom. Here's the problem, though, is that, you know, with all of that construction, at any point in time, you've got a significant part of the Magic Kingdom closed with, you know, Buzz Lightyear and then Rivers of America kind of area. You've got Rock and Roller Coaster closed. You've got Muppets Courtyard closed. You've got what was the It's Tough to Be a Bug turning into the Zootopia ride closed. You've got what was Dino Land closed. I think that's it. Yeah, nothing in Epcot. From what I've heard, Epcot's solid. So, but what that means is that there's less stuff to do at Disney, and that opens the question for you know, visitors. Hey, what should we do? Oh, well, Universal has this brand new park that has 5 different themed lands. Let's go there. let's spend a day or two at Universal, maybe 3 days, because they have 3 parks there and they have all this new stuff that we should check out. We've never been to Universal before. And like, that's kind of my thought process. I'm going to Universal for the first time in over 10 years to go to Epic Universe and then check out the other 2 parks as well. Now, without having actually been to Epic Universe yet, I would venture to guess that it's better than anything that Disney has at Disney World. I would hope so, being that it's all new. But, you look at like what Shanghai Disneyland has for their Pirates of the Caribbean versus like what we have, where it's the old ride and it's just like Jack Sparrow and Barbossa, and they were like, yeah, that's great. It's like, okay, there's a reason that Pirates of the Caribbean is a 5 to 15 minute wait regardless of the time of day. And don't get me wrong, I love Pirates of the Caribbean, but then you see what they have in Shanghai and you see what Disney Imagineers are capable of, and then you're like, okay, well, that versus Velocicoaster, that's not a good comparison. But like, you get my point, right? All in all of this to say, I think that as theme park, fanatics and theme park goers, we're all winning over the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. Before we get into this week's Disney hack, if you love Disney, make sure to follow me on Instagram and on TikTok and subscribe here for my weekly Disney Last Week videos, along with Disney vlogs and Disney how-tos. Also, if you're planning a trip to Disney World or Universal, I am a travel advisor and can help you get the lowest price possible. So reach out to me and we can start chatting about that. So this week's Disney hack. This is for Lightning Lane. And like I said at the beginning of the video, if you are a seasoned pro with Disney and Lightning Lane, you might already know this, but if you're sort of newer to going to Disney or you haven't been in a while, you might not know this. First of all, Lightning Lane is not free. You have to pay for it. And so that's part of this hack here. No, you're not going to get it for free. But if you are planning to go to Disney World on a day where you have a park hopper pass, you can go from one park to another, and you want to get Lightning Lanes, what I suggest doing is starting your day at Animal Kingdom and buying your Lightning Lanes for there. The reason why is because Animal Kingdom actually opens, I think it's an hour earlier than the other parks. Along with that, the Lightning Lane package for Animal Kingdom is usually less than the other parks. So the reason that you start at Animal Kingdom is so that you can get your first couple of Lightning Lanes. You can change them, by the way, to another park if you want to, but you get an hour more of park time and your Lightning Lanes will cost less for the day. That is your Disney hack of the week. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts about Epic Universe and the competition that it has with Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida? Is Disney in trouble? I don't really think they are. I think if anything, it's good for the competition, and it's a swift kick in the butt for Disney and Disney Imagineering. But I would love to know your thoughts, so put them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch a Disney vlog, you can click the screen right here, and I'll see you real soon. Peace.